외국인 경기장 도시형.
Alright, so here we are, ladies and gentlemen, down here in the bottom left-hand corner of Daybreak, we have Mouz.HasuObs. He is our yellow Protoss player, and the top right-hand corner is his opponent, throwing out the good luck. That's Millenium.Lalush. He is our red Zerg player, and this kicks off our Mouz versus Millennium here in Team Arena Challenge. Once again, this is winners round 1, game number 1 of this best of 9.
And what a matchup right off the bat. Lalush and HasuObs going head-to-head. HasuObs, a player that's had a fair bit of success lately.
Certainly. If you guys remember last week in NASL, actually knocked out Huck in the round of 16 and advanced to the round of 8, got himself a $3,000 prize at NASL. Was kind of an interesting PvP, honestly. People were trying. He was winning the games that he won. It went 3-2 to the best of my recollection, and he won his games on sheer upgrade might. Both players had eventually arrived at the same unit composition. Huck was trying to use a lot of Blink Stalkers, but eventually went over to Colossi. But HasuObs was just pretty typical Colossi builds, heavy upgrades, and the upgrades were what were winning it for him.
Ah, interesting.
Very smart decision making.
Yeah, interesting. Double Forge or Single Forge?
Oh, one of the games he went Single Forge, and he did go Double Forge once he transitioned out of 3 Gate in one of the games, but I forget what map it was on. So.
And I'm assuming they were both expanding then.
They did actually have a lot of expand builds in that series.
People have been expanding in PvP a lot lately.
Certainly.
It seems like you can get away with it just using Stalkers. And
we watched, actually yesterday in Team Arena, who was playing? It was Bishu, specifically chose Tal'Darim Altar for Dignitas, specifically chose Tal'Darim so that he could go after a Robo build. He went after 2-Gate Robo and held a 4-Gate from Slayer's Crank.
Impressive.
It was extremely impressive. Just
like
pure
that.
Zealot Immortal.
Yeah,
so.
I like that.
And
no sentries? Or a couple sentries?
No, pure Zealot Immortal.
Huh.
And then he added in units as he went along and went up to 3 gates. But no, it was just pure Immortal Zealot. It was really cool.
So, looks like Hasu's just opening up here with standard Forge FE. Gonna drop the cannon before the Nexus.
First. Yeah.
Interesting choice there. There weren't any things anywhere close.
Alright, so he's actually going to be quite a bit, I guess we can call it delayed for a Forge FE, but he wants to make sure that he gets both of these pylons down. This is a lot wider ramp. You know,
He's
conventional wisdom.
Cannon down?
Yes, he is.
Before the Nexus, all of this?
And
why?
Looks like
I don't
going to try and make a wall as quick as possible. He did see Lush went pool first, but the pool was more than anything just to make sure that he didn't get harassed when he put down his hatchery.
Standard opener there from Lush. I think maybe he anticipated it was a 10 pool or something along those lines.
Very possible.
Wow.
He did get the scout, though. He knew exactly when the pool came up. But, he blocked his Nexus. He blocked his Nexus.
Okay.
Oh, no. HasuObs. Okay, that makes a lot more sense now. I was like, second pylon?
What is going on?
I was trying to build in the excuse that, you know, a lot of players on Daybreak had been building the Forge FE where the pylon was back here, and then you start building the structures in towards your Nexus. But players have been getting, I even want to call it a little bit greedier lately, and they've been trying to wall off this whole area at the front. It makes you a lot more susceptible to early Roach Ling pushes.
It definitely does, but the nice thing about making the wall in the front like that, and if you could complete it all the way, and the probe goes down in the main of Lalush right there.
Yep.
If you could complete the wall all the way across, you don't have to deal with any of those pesky Zergling run-bys that get into the back of the mineral line and just shut down 1 or 2 mineral patches for a little bit of time.
I definitely agree that there are advantages to it. It's just there's just been a huge shift lately. I mean, we saw in regular Team Arena, Slayers versus Tai Lu. I forgot exactly who was playing. Oh, it was Yuhen when he was punishing the Slayers Protoss players. I forget if it. I think it was actually Crank that was on this map. He was spawning top right-hand corner, and he tried to wall right here as well. Because he's not as practiced on this wall.
A Zealot and a Cannon.
He wasn't as practiced on this wall. He was more used to the conventional wall that I was talking about earlier, and he was just killed by a Roachling attack.
Easily.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't even close. It was like 6 Roaches and 20 Lings versus a Zealot and a Cannon.
Yeah, you're exactly right.
He was teching to Stargate and trying to get a Void Ray out, but the Void Ray was late as well because he was saving up for 250, and then he ended up spending that. But, I mean, the wall from HasuObs ended up working out quite well, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't look like Lelouch had any intention of pushing. Playing the macro game, throwing down the third hatch. This is setting up for a pretty standard game on Daybreak, honestly.
Yeah, and
there's a +1 coming out of these this forage here, so we know that there's going to be some sort of a gateway timing, whether it's super heavy, like 5-gate early push, or whether he just waits and sits on, 6 or 7 gate and goes up to another weapons upgrade or something like that. We have yet to find out.
Still no Roach Warren from Lelouch. He's content to just sit on Speedlings for now. Speed upgrade just now finished. Yeah, and still no Zerglings out on the field for him. He's just produced those initial 4, I think, and he's got some scouting on the map with those, but hasn't produced anything yet. So he's just droning up super hard and just going into full macro mode.
You're exactly right, but he's continued to mine gas this entire time as well. Even adding in a second extractor, a lot of people will go ahead and pull everything off of the gas except for, say, one drone, even if they're intending to go into Roaches plus upgrades, because with the one gas, by the time Speedlings hits and you get enough, I mean, it's very Rhett style, when you get out a ton of drones, you still have enough to throw down Layer Tech and the Roach Warren at the same time. And there's the Roach Warren.
There we go.
As you can see, right now he has quite a surplus. I would also expect expect an evolution chamber right away.
Yeah, that would make a lot of sense. I mean, he's got that extra gas. He could afford to get the upgrades right now as well, and he's dropping a third gas as well right now. So both players actually floating quite a bit of gas right now. HasuObs just spent some on a sentry.
Yeah.
And he's also adding additional, and there's the 3
extra
gateways, so we're up to 4 now.
Time is perfect. Workgate just finished up, and let's see here. Yeah, there is a 5th gateway coming up somewhere. There it is.
So he's going to sit on 5-gate for a little bit, get some upgrades out, hallucinations on the way. That'll give him some scouting info.
No Twilight Council up to go ahead and go right into Weapons 2, so we may see Armor 1 come out here in a second. But otherwise, he's just inflating his sentry count, and there indeed is Armor 1.
I like that. Get out a bunch of sentries early, use hallucination to figure out what's going on. You can protect yourself from some sort of an all-in.
There's the evolution chamber, but look at this. We already have a Hydralisk den on the way.
And Roach speed coming.
Yes, indeed.
So it looks like he's going to try and hit some sort of a Roach Hydra timing push here. A bunch of Roaches being made as well that weren't a necessity at this point, I don't think.
Investing in a Hydras is going to make his attack come a little bit later, and it's going to give HasuObs an opportunity to start producing a lot of gateway units. But, of course, the Hydras...
Snipe right there. Gets 2 Stalkers.
And he doesn't even get all of the Zerglings, only killing a few of those, a couple of those running free.
And
if they get the probe kill... Oh, wow. That was
Very
actually
nice.
Extremely good for Lelouch. But,
traded about 8 Lings right there for 2 Stalkers and the probe that was eventually going to make the 3rd.
You make that any day.
Definitely worth it.
So anyway, but yeah, getting back to what I was saying, though, is that, these Hydras with the upgrades are going to make this eventual push come out a lot later, which is going to give HasuObs a little bit of an opportunity to start producing a pretty decent force. But Lelouch, if he's not pressured for a little while, which he's clearly not, as we see the Nexus is coming up for HasuObs, he's going to be on incredibly good tech off these 4 bases.
Well, I think it really just depends on how fast he can get the Hydra push going. If he can get it before the Colossus come into play, he'll be in a great spot, because Hydra's pushing up against the Protoss wall. They outrange most of the buildings, so they can hit the gateways, the forge, the pylons without getting touched by the cannons. They can go toe-to-toe with the Stalkers easily if they get a good arc, and it's got to be frustrating as a Protoss player if you get pinned in behind your wall and you have an arc of Hydras and Roaches without Colossus attacking your front door. I mean, that's when things get really tricky.
I definitely agree with you.
Right now we have Lelouch setting up for some sort of a flank or a dual-pronged attack. HasuObs trying to wall off that 3rd completely. Hopefully he gets that last gateway up at the top there. He needs one more to completely wall that off. And is he going to build it? The Roaches might come down from the 4th.
I don't know. It looks like Lelouch is just willing to go ahead and sit back and move into complete and utter macro mode. Timing on the Spire, you could throw down an Infestation Pit here in a bit and have Hive Tech ready as soon as that Spire is done. It'll be a very quick move to that, but of course he is almost maxed. We're only 12 minutes and 40 seconds into the game.
I really like what Lelouch is doing here. I mean, he's clearing out all the obstacles on the map. He's taking out the rocks in mid. He's also taking out the rocks at the front door. He might even be trying to push at the front door right now. This might be a little bit risky on his part. He does have forces in 2 positions, though. Needs to be careful with this force in the main, though. Doesn't want those to get caught or force fielded at the ramp right there. That would be terrible. Oh!
Wow, actually just force fielded it down. He loses the Overseer, but these Roaches are making their way in against the gateway wall. Unfortunately, losing 4 Roaches just for 1 gateway there, so not a bad trade for HasuObs as he's able to defend both fronts, and he's starting to increase his Colossus numbers, which is really what he wants right now. 1 on the field, a second coming up.
At the supplies right now, 170 to 130. Lelouch just doing a great job. Yes, saving up, getting a huge bankroll. He's got his 4th up and running. It's almost saturated. Look at his creep spread throughout the middle of the map. Lelouch just looking great right now, but don't take away from the situation we have here. He's adding Colossus. If he gets up to 200,
in a great spot. Like he's mitigated the damage from that, because that's really when Lelouch wanted to move in and kill armies, deny a base, remax, continue to bank resources, and just out macro his opponent.
And he was unable to do so.
Exactly. And now HasuObs, despite the fact that he is at a 60 some odd supply deficit, has a lot better tech than his opponent, and 1/1 upgrades are finished, whereas we just have the +1 weapons for all these ground units out of Lelouch.
Quick, dicey engagement right there. Lelouch gets out by burrowing those 4 Roaches under the force fields. 1 does get picked off. We have Blink on the way and double weapon upgrades, or double upgrades coming for HasuObs right now. So he's added that second forge in. Is he working on weapons 2?
Yes, he is. Weapons 2 and armor 2 at the moment, along with Blink, and there's 3 Colossi here now. But there are a lot of Corruptors out, 8 on the field already. 2 more about ready to be thrown in, and good force fields are allowing him to segment this army pretty well, taking no losses in the process. And because he has so many Stalkers out there and Blink is coming up, 5 more actually warping in right now, that's certainly going to help with this increasing Corruptor count.
I totally agree, but he's gonna have to find a way to do some damage here. Lelouch, that is, because HasuObs is content to just sit here in mid. He's got control over the Xel'Naga. He's gonna take a 4th base. He has double forges going right now, so he is gonna prevail in the upgrade war here in a little bit, and might pick off a few Corruptors here. He does have Blink, so he can get out of there relatively safely. Does lose 1 Stalker there.
Not a big loss for picking off the Corruptor.
And here we go. It looks like they both might be looking to commit here. No, Lelouch is actually going to pull back, and I totally agree with that. This army from HasuObs is just too much for him to handle right now.
Now, he does have Hive Tech done. He has not started morphing in the Greater Spire yet, which I'm a little bit surprised about. Looks like he's waiting for Zerg Flyer attacks level 1 to finish up first. But look at that. HasuObs on just a couple rounds of Warpins has now matched his opponent in army. Yes, Lelouch does have the bigger bankroll, but my God, there's a lot of stuff out there for HasuObs right now.
Yeah, there certainly is. And if you look at the 2 armies comparatively, Lelouch just doesn't look like he has nearly as much. He's trying to get up that giant midfield spine crawler wall that we usually see, but I don't think he's going to have enough time. And if HasuObs hits this timing before all those spine crawlers get up, this could be a very difficult situation. 5th Colossus comes in right now, and I think that's going to be the moment that HasuObs was looking for, and he's going to go ahead and commit here. Blinks back with all of his Stalkers. The Corruptor's only able to kill 1 Colossus thus far, and he's losing a lot of them.
Yes, he is.
So I think HasuObs coming out ahead in that engagement, but he does back off.
Yeah, up by 25 supply now, and continuing to reinforce off of a very, very good gateway infrastructure. Could add to that here in a little bit, but man, these Colossi with +2 weapons are doing so much damage. My God, this spine crawler wall might as well be non-existent. Those Blink Stalkers making their way up now, even picking off a few Hydras, but taking out all of these Overlords is really, really bad for Lelouch, as he will not be able to reinforce to a maxed army. He's trying to produce a couple extra Overlords to go ahead and compensate for that loss, but he has lost a base, and I don't know if he's going to be able to prevent the loss of another one coming up here in a second.
Yeah, losing his 5th here. He's lost basically all of his creep spread. He doesn't have creep spread around the back arc of the map either, connecting his 3rd and 4th.
Yeah, you're exactly right.
He was just focusing on the creep spread through the middle of the map, so he's not going to be able to reinforce to his other bases, and HasuObs might just honestly go for the straight-up kill here. I don't think that there's anything Lelouch can do to prevent this. There's just too many Colossus, too many Stalkers out on the field right now. And look how he blinks back to get the better arc.
Yeah, he gets the best possible arc. He mitigates most of the damage from the Corruptors initially, as it looks like that's only... No, this Colossus still hasn't gone down. There we go. There's only 2 Colossi have actually fallen this entire game, and HasuObs just continues to grow his army, and now he has a 4th mining base up as well, so he is in complete and utter control of this game. Lelouch is morphing in a few Broodlords right now, but it's really on him to try and make anything happen right now because he is significantly behind.
Yeah, and HasuObs just continually pressing in here. Does have an opportunity to pick off these Broodlords, I believe. The other ones are morphing, but they're not done, and I don't think he has nearly enough to hold off this push. No more Corruptors, and now that those Corruptors have been morphed into Broodlords, they're even worse, I would say.
Well, against just the staggering amount of Colossi. Normally in this situation, you'd have dealt with a lot of the Blink Stalkers. You would have forced to transition over to Archons or something like that. And then the Broodlords become a lot powerful and you're able to get them out en masse. But as it stands, no, just absolutely not. They're not going to be able to provide the support he needs. And because of their limited mobility, he has essentially sacrificed this base, now on fewer bases than his Protoss opponent.
Yeah, he's down a base to HasuObs now. 4th base has gone down for Lelouch, and HasuObs probably going to make his way up to the 3rd now, and he has more than enough cannons back at his 3rd and 4th, where it looks like Lelouch is trying to launch some sort of a counterattack. Might be trying to expand to the top left.
Yeah, it looks like he's trying to move generally that way, but I mean, just no creep spread at all. No way to reinforce there, and he's only got a handful of units, and HasuObs' army is going to be able to pick that apart. So as good as Lelouch played the beginning of this game, he wasn't able to get the amount of damage done in his initial couple of attacks that he needed to start maxing and remaxing his army, and HasuObs just continuing to build up that incredibly powerful Protoss army was able to take advantage of that.
Yeah, I totally agree with that assessment. Maybe some type of a drop in the main, or perhaps some Nidus in the main or something like that, because HasuObs was certainly out in the midfield for a majority of the game. And here we have the Broodlord composition actually doing quite well here with a good arc, but there's just way too many units for HasuObs.
The ground army's gone. I mean, like, there's nothing to stop these Blink Stalkers anymore. And there's Archons in the back as well, which are going to be able to take a considerable amount of damage, and there's only 4 Broodlords remaining now. They're all falling very quickly. The Queen actually misses a transfusion, actually accidentally transfusing the Overlord there, and the last of the Broodlords is going to fall, and I think that is going to be all she wrote for Lelouch, now down by 100 supply.
Not that it really mattered there on the transfuse, at least I don't think.
Yeah. But there we have it. So congratulations. Looks like HasuObs has taken game number 1 for Mouz.